Last time, we discussed how Dr. James Marcus, one of the researchers of Umbrella Pharmaceuticals, formulated a new strain from the progenitor virus and dubbed it the T virus. We also know that through the T virus, a host had a 1 in 10 million chance of becoming a tyrant. We know that doctors Edward Ashford, James Marcus, and Oswald E. Spencer coalesced to establish Umbrella Pharmaceuticals. We know Ashford wanted to use the progenitor virus and its regenerative abilities to help the handicapped. We know Spencer and Marcus had other plans to create bioorganic weapons. We know Spencer had Ashford killed with the progenitor virus. We also know Spencer had Marcus assassinated as well. So what were the consequences? Welcome back to The Virus Within Resident Evil, and welcome back to part 2 of the T virus. I'm your host, Kylo Prime. In this video, we'll be going over a few test subjects of the T virus, the Raccoon City outbreak, and the virology of the virus itself. As always, this information is collected from the video games themselves, the Wikipedia, and Project Umbrella. But before we get into this video, if you missed out on previous episodes, I'll put a card somewhere on the screen so that you may click on if you want. That way you can get an understanding of the lore behind the virus thus far. I also just want to thank everyone for their support, and that I wish I could thank you all individually. I don't get paid doing these videos. I just make them because I like Resident fucking Evil, you feel me? So I took extra time making this episode, and I dedicate this video to every supporter watching this. Thank you. But without further ado, let's get started. The T virus, or commonly referred as the zombie virus, is the most notorious virus within Resident Evil and probably the most universal. And what I mean by that is that from it we can get the T Veronica virus, the TG virus, the T Phobos virus, the T Abyss virus, all very different and very unique variants or strains, which we will discuss in future videos. The purpose of the T virus was to create bioweapons and most likely sell it to the highest bidder. The problem with the initial testing is that subjects were found to be extremely aggressive, develop these cannibalistic tendencies, and suffer a detrimental decline in their intelligence. Later studies, however, would develop a BOW that is combat focused and compliant with given commands, and these subjects are known as tyrants. But before we get into the topic of some of the test subjects, I would first like to go over the virology or the characteristics of the T virus. The T virus is quite spherical in shape. It's kind of identical to the progenitor virus. And since it has traces of leached DNA, it's coated with nerve regeneration to allow the host to stay alive while in a clinically dead state. And in later years, William Birkin will incorporate the virus with an immune suppressant gene from the highly pathogenic Ebola virus. And all that does is pretty much delays the activation of someone's immune system. Now, some of the symptoms include fevers, nausea, itching, sweating, hunger, and necrosis, which is pretty much dead tissue. It's important to note that many of these symptoms aren't directly caused by the virus, but by the response of the immune system. You can transmit the virus through fluids, cell to cell, touch, food, water, insects, rodents, and if it so happens to be airborne. The virus itself attaches to the receptor protein, phospholipid, a molecular structure on the cell's membrane that the virus must attach to in order to enter the cell's cytoplasm. Phospholipids are used in every cell in the human body and in most animals, allowing the virus to successfully infect a wide range of animals of varying species. In plants, however, the virus can enter the whole cytoplasm directly since they lack phospholipids. Once inside the host cell cytoplasm, the virus uses its own enzymes to produce DNA from its RNA. The cell host then treats the viral DNA as part of its own genome, translating and transcribing the genes, producing the protein required to assemble new copies of the virus. And I know all that shit sounds confusing, but trust me, if I didn't take biology about 3 semesters ago, I wouldn't have put this fucking shit in here. But just know, the virus copies and pastes its own genetic coding inside an individual cell, and then that cell creates copies of its own corrupted structure. In February 1991, an unknown umbrella personnel sold a strain of the T-virus to a South American drug lord named Javier Hidalgo. And I probably fucked that up. But Javier used this strain as a treatment against a cancerous disease afflicting his wife, Hilda. Over a couple of months, the cancer inside of Hilda receded, but she didn't regain consciousness. He continued to inject her with the virus, and this eventually led her to mutate into the amphibious creature found inside the game Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles. In December of 1991, former Soviet Colonel Sergei Vladimir approached Umbrella looking for a job and underwent a host adaptability test. The results of the test revealed that Vladimir was part of the 1 in 10 million hosts compatible with the latest strain of the T-virus, and this allowed him to become a tyrant. Due to Vladimir's worthiness and credibility, Spencer offered him an executive position within the company in exchange for allowing 10 clones of himself to be created for the Tyrant development. Of course, Vladimir accepted the proposal, and the research of the Tyrant project progressed. In 1993, another oncolytic strain of the virus was designed and supplied to the private hospital in the Arklay Mountains. And as with the case of Hilda 2 years prior, initial injections of the virus showed promising results by eradicating cancerous cells. However, the first test subject, Doug Frost, died due to sudden changes in his condition. The second subject, Dorothy Lester, fully recovered, but the virus continued to spread within her body and eventually transformed her into a zombie, leading to an incident in which many staff and patients were killed in the hospital. On May 11, 1998, the Tyrant T2 type was completed. However, an accident occurred during injection of the virus into the host, causing an airborne leak of the beta strain within Arklay laboratory that infected the researchers and then contaminated the facility's water supply, exposing the above-ground employees. The accident was caused by the Queen Leech, an intelligent copy of James Marcus himself. Meanwhile, William Birkin secured the beta strain in the Tyrant embryos to continue research. He created the enhanced Tyrant T103 type and used the mutant strain to develop an enhanced strain capable of creating a new creature, the Licker, and then finalized the virus for mass production. Later, Birkin feared that he would be held responsible for the accident in the Arklay laboratory that led to the leaked sensitive information on the company's biological weapons program. He expected the company to send agents to assassinate him, so he basically just said fuck it and began spreading the T-virus in the sewers of Raccoon City and in Umbrella's incineration disposal plant in order to cut off access to his underground laboratory. Meanwhile, the Queen Leech contaminated the Elliptic Express with a primitive strain of the virus. And to prevent the truth of Marcus from being exposed, Birkin destroyed the facilities. On September the 23rd, 1998, the USS, or the Umbrella Security Service Alpha Team, were dispatched to assassinate William Birkin and seize his G-virus samples. However, right before he died, Birkin injected himself with the only remaining G sample, mutating him into a creature not seen thus far. But the lore behind that will have to wait until another video. Over the next week, the city's population of 100,000 were either killed or infected, and the US military blockaded the city to prevent classified information relating to their own dealings from getting out. Under the pretense of preventing the virus from spreading beyond the city, the American government launched a sterilization operation and wiped the whole fucking city from the face of the earth in attempts to eradicate evidence of their own involvement with the virus. After the 1999 collapse of the umbrella of USA, further T-virus development was led by the umbrella in Europe. The Europe branch will eventually combine the massively produced T-virus with the incomplete G-virus to create the TG virus. Such a clever name. Also, the strain of this virus can be found in Resident Evil Dead Aim. Not much information can be found on this virus, but I just thought I should mention it. And there you have it. The lore behind the infamous T-virus. And I'll say, even though the T-virus can virtually infect anything, it's not my favorite virus in the entire series. It's definitely top 5, but my absolute favorite virus is fucking deadly and pretty unique in a way. And hopefully I can cover that in a future video. But I really appreciate you for watching this video. Like I said before, I don't get paid for any of these videos. I just do it because fuck it, you know? It's a blessing that I have awesome supporters. And I don't care if the community is small. Eventually, it'll grow. No matter if it's big or small, I still will make quality videos. But if you all have the time, could you like, comment, or share? That would really help our videos get out there. You don't have to subscribe because I don't really put out videos like that. It's not as much as I would like to. But thanks again, and please stay tuned.